If anybody's in the construction industry listening, they know that it's hard to win a job. When you're bid spec and you're bidding against, could be 8 other electricians and you're all running around on bid day and it's just a mess. And you hope you get it. And hopefully you're not just that price check that everyone's asking. So you bring this to your team and they're like looking at me with 3 heads saying you've lost your mind. And then I bring up the P&L statement and say, well, hey, we got to do something here. The numbers don't lie. You can't hide from them. You got to look at them.
What's one of the things that sort of stopped you in your tracks and just went, holy shit, and you had to take it back to your team that was related to cash flow?
Right away, our fixed cost percentage, or overhead, as you call it as a tradie, and then right along with that, a labor burden. Right away, you look at those numbers and what you were charging before. You hear the term all the time in trades, 10% overhead, 10% profit. Well, hold the floor there. It's absolutely wrong. It's a disaster, right? Our overhead is 20.
By the way, who the fuck came up with that? All right, rock stars, welcome to another No Bullshit podcast. We got a special one for you today. We got Mike Werney with us, who's one of our champion CEOs, who's gone through hell and back. He's now on the bright side, but we're gonna get deep into topics around cash flow. We're gonna get deep into topics around, some of the challenges from a pricing perspective, getting your team to buy in. Really, though, at the end of the day, it's about getting your business to get your profits to pay for your freedom and really get your business to give it what it is that you got into business for in the first place. So welcome, Mike. How's it going, buddy?
Good. Yourself?
Doing good. So, we were just talking about some bullets beforehand and I was like, okay, I don't want to hear anymore because this is a No Bullshit podcast. I want to experience this conversation just like the audiences are going to experience it, like live, first time type of thing.
Yeah.
So, we talked about some challenges you had before PFC, around cash flow, around pricing and profits and things of that nature. You're doing, really well, but we'll get more in depth in there. But how big of a business are you? Tell us a little bit about your business and then let's get rocking.
We're an electrical contracting business. Yeah, to Kitchener, Ontario. We do Waterloo region and mainly. We do about $3.5 to $4 million a year in sales. We do service, construction, industrial. We kind of dabble in a little bit of everything in that way. And yeah, that's, a couple project managers, an estimator, and we got a good team here.
I love it, dude. So you're a fellow Sparky.
Yes.
Right. That's great. So let's talk about as far as high level results, you're at a stage right now where you're, highly profitable, been able to address cash flow issues and things of that nature at a high, high level. You got a great team. Again, we're going to go deeper into all these different things, but let's talk about some of these challenges. So, by the way, if you're a contractor and you're listening in on this, it's called the No Bullshit podcast for a reason. Because we talk about things in a no bullshit way. So we're not going to give you any magic wands. We're not going to give you magic pills. We're going to get into what are some of the things that Mike did, things that you're going to be able to take back to your contracting business, but we're not going to bullshit it. Okay. We're not going to sugarcoat it. Right, Mike?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, right? Like these things that you implemented, you mentioned this before, you're like, you guys, PFC, you guys bring a lot of tools and templates and the great coaching and mindset and things of that nature, but you still got to work it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's got to do the work for sure.
You got to do the work. So tell us a little bit about these challenges you had before PFC. Tell us a little bit about that.
Cash flow is a big issue in profitability. Wondering if you're doing the right things. There's a few different tiers to it, but big one was cash flow. We were up and down. We'd have a great month, bad month. That was one of the huge challenges. And then just the focus and the direction, the mindset stuff on top of it, because you're always stressing about cash flow. Like I can't tell you the biggest killer for me as a owner was going home at night wondering, am I going to lose my business? What's the next bill? What supplier's calling next going to want to absorb an amount of money? And just, man, you don't sleep and it just breeds. It's just a giant tumbleweed rolling down the thing eventually. It's like train that can't stop in the cash flow world. But I will say that was my biggest challenge and biggest, we'll call it stressor was cash flow, because literally I'm waiting for the phone to ring and having to say, okay, yeah, no, we'll get it. And then who's going to pay me next? And receipt counts, receipt, all of it. The whole cash flow picture is not just what you charge, it's how you're getting your receivables, who your clients are. There is so many different caveats to that piece that it took us a lot of work to kind of get that ironed out. And we're still,
Which by the way, we're gonna get into. Okay, we're gonna get into what are those things that you changed. So guys, back to the No Bullshit podcaster. Okay, listen to what he's saying. All right, it wasn't one thing. Okay, so we're not going to cover off one thing today because that's again bullshit to solve your cash flow issues. It's a lot of things. Okay, we're not going to cover off everything from A to Z, but we're going to cover off the key ones, and especially the ones that Mike applied and how it affected things in a positive way. But let's go a little bit deeper on the cash flow side. So, you got a family?
yes, I do. Yeah.
Tell us about your family.
My wife, her name's Jen. She actually, I have three children, 2 girls and a boy, Olivia, Michael, and Sophia.
Yes.
But when Michael was born, and then Sophia shortly after. So Jen was on maternity leave, and I'm like, hey, I'm going to start my own electrical business. Let's do it. And it's like, my wife looked at me like, are you serious? Like, I'm not working. You know what I mean? And she quickly, it wasn't much convincing. She's like, okay, you've got a plan. You've been talking about it long enough. Now's as good time as any because I'm off anyway. I can be home. Well, long story short, she works for Trade Service Group on a part-time basis. She will be going back to her whole career nursing, but that's kind of where we're at. She just kind of allowed me to follow my dream as being an entrepreneur. And, late nights, not home much, me in a service truck running around, doing those service calls whenever. Yeah, that's how it kind of started. And this steamrolls from there. Now we're 19 employees and a couple trucks and Airbnb and vehicle everywhere. So, yeah.
So, one of the stresses that happens when we've got cash flow issues is the stress that gets carried back into the family.
Oh,
so what was that like?
Well, honestly, it's horrible. Like I'm always having to go to the well, right? And the well was my house. It's like, hey, how can we remortgage this? Or where can I pull from our savings? Or like putting your own money into the company is just, it's satisfying. And you got to have that confidence, especially with looking at your wife, like, don't worry, honey, I got this. We're going to put, 100 grand in here, and she's just like, okay, I trust you, but still scared. Like if she wasn't scared, I'd be worried. Like, the emotional roller coaster that gives you is just unbelievable. Like that's your baby, that's your house. Like a lot of people, I'm never put my house on the line. Well, I didn't, but I'm definitely putting the equity on the line. I'm still paying the mortgage off, right? So
yep.
That's the stressful part of it. And then wondering, okay, if this fails, how many times I've said to myself, I'm an electrician. I can get to work anywhere. And I can, but that doesn't, you know what I mean? Those are just the little pieces to say, it'll be okay. You got to, lots of tears, lots of scaredness, not my wife and my kids, right? Going in there like that, big brave face. It's like,
yeah.
In the house, terrified. There's tons of emotions that go along with it.
Wow, man. Like seriously, I remember the same thing. And I think just quickly, one of the things that I found was I wasn't present. Even though I'd physically be there, and there's lots of times when I wasn't physically there, when I wanted to be there, I missed lots of things. But even when I was there physically, I wasn't mentally there. I was thinking about the business all the time, like all the time. I get up to go for a pee. I've said this before, I couldn't go back to sleep. I just was constantly thinking. And can you relate to that?
100%. You wake up in the middle of the night and the wheels start turning and turning and turning. Shut off, and you know what happens? You end up just getting up and going to work, and guess where you're not in the morning, sending the kids off to school. Get up. Happened to me tons. Or sit at the dinner table. You're like, I'm going to be a good family man. I'm going to sit here with all my family. We're going to eat. I'm eating away, and they're all talking to me, but I'm thinking about the job tomorrow, what happened today, and I found myself short with my kids too, like angry, like and my wife, like just, bitter. And when something didn't go right, I'm like, what's going on with this? Like, why isn't it working? And kind of woe is me kind of stuff. And then you get out on your family, and they're just kind of like, my daughter's 9. And at this time, they're even younger, and your patience got to be a little bit better. And yeah, it's the formative years stress you out because it's just like, what am I doing here? These are the most important years of their lives. And I'm stressing about but I am stressed about their livelihood. That's where it gets.
Well, this is it, right? You're a caring father. And I think this is one thing that a lot of people don't get. So if you're hopefully you're a contractor owner listening in on this, because that's who this is for. I want to let you know you're not alone. Okay. And what a lot of people don't get, and it's not like I'm not here as Dr. Phil's show. I'm not saying it's a bad show. I'm just saying I'm not here as Dr. Phil to say what's okay and what's not okay. I'm just letting you know that, if you can relate to this, you're not alone, because so many other contractors are going through the same thing. And the other thing I wanted to say is, I'm not like giving you permission to do this or to say that it was okay, but at the end of the day, what a lot of people don't get, especially people from the outside, they're like, oh man, this Mike guy, this Andrew guy, they missed this, they missed that. They're selfish. They don't care for the family. What they don't get is it's completely the fucking opposite. We're sacrificing everything in our brains and physically to try and be able to get this business to be successful for the opposite, which is to provide the lifestyle we want for our family. Like, Mike, what would you say is the top 3 reasons that comes to mind to you that you got into business for in the first place?
Top one was financial freedom. The available to not have to penny pinch. Like, man, even as an electrician going to the grocery store, it's like, we can't buy that steak today because we can't afford it. I was second, just not, I'm like, I don't need gobs of money, but I want to be able to not worry about my children's education. If they would need a new winter jacket or, just comfort, just that peace of mind, comfort. And that was one of them. And freedom, right? I want to control my time. I want to be able to spend more time with my family, which we touched on it in the beginning. You think you are, but you're not really there. Right. So, and then, personal gratification, just that I'd like to lead. I like to consider myself a decent leader and a caring person. So leading a team of individuals that, have that business that everybody wants to work for and everyone wants them to do work for them. And, that real good team. I don't know. It's just,
you described it, man. You described really quickly in the beginning, before we got on here, you said, I want to bring them to the cup, right? I want to bring my team to the, right?
Yeah. I want that Super Bowl winning team.
It's a Super Bowl winning team.
Yes. Every year. I want to take them to the Super Bowl, knowing that I'm the quarterback that did it. They get to celebrate and share the wealth. Like, I'm a big believer of, if, eventually when we grow and we do, and I mean, grow cash flow wise, I want to share the wealth with them. It doesn't just need to be me,
right?
Like, they do good, they get rewarded for it. Bottom line. So it's like, to be that company, everybody was like, man, I wish I could work for Trade Service Group. And every person's like, man, I'm going to wait for Trade Service Group to do my job. That's the goal.
Nice. Okay. And so, we'll talk about how close you are to that in just a minute. Let's talk about this pathway. So again, guys listening in, no bullshit. We're going to start getting into the tactics and strategies and insights. So you want to grab a pen and paper, want to write this shit down, or you want to say, hey man, if you're driving in the truck, I got to go back, listen again to that podcast with, Mike and Andrew and take some notes on this, but we're going to get into the strategies, guys, and how Mike was able to turn things around, become, very, very profitable, like 25% net profit, just in like the last month. You did like $750,000 in sales, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. So when you came to PFC, you're actually in a negative profit, right?
Oh yeah. Yep. Big time.
So what, like how much negative?
Probably 4%,
on what, 3 million?
Yeah.
So it's like 120 grand in the hole.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Roughly, give or take. All right.
Yeah.
So obviously that affected cash flow. That affected so many different things. What were some of the things that, so when you came into PFC, cash flow was an issue. Like, you're coming in here, you're investing in the PFC, you're struggling with money to begin with. Like, what the fuck?
It was a decision on its own.
That's right. Exactly, dude. So now you got control of your cash flow. You've put a lot of different things in place. Let's just go through some of these things that you put into play. So you come in the PFC. What's one of the things that sort of stopped you in your tracks and just went, holy shit, and you had to take it back to your team that was related to cash flow?
Right away, our fixed cost percentage, or overhead, as you call it as a tradie. And then right along with that, a labor burden. Right away, you look at those numbers and what you were charging before, you hear the term all the time in trades, 10% overhead, 10% profit. Well, we'll hold the forward there. absolutely wrong. It's a disaster, right? Like our overhead is 20.
By the way, who the fuck came up with that?
I don't know, but you look at it.
You know what? I'm going to say something here. I'm going to say something. My wife's going to kill me because my beautiful wife, Jennifer, as you know, who's our CFO, she's a chartered accountant. Okay. And my arch enemy, nemesis has always been bookkeepers and accountants. Can you imagine that? Okay.
Mm.
How many fucking calls? I'm not saying that you got this from your accountant or your bookkeeper, but I've heard it. Okay. Where the accountant and bookkeeper says, hey man, just make sure you account for 10% overhead and 10% this. And I'm like, where'd you get that number from? Like, I mean, you're an accountant or bookkeeper. Like, well, that's just what the standard is. The what? The fuck? The standard from where? Like, So no, guys, don't use, if you're sitting down at a breakfast table with your local tradie buddies, okay, pay close attention to this. All right. Do not take anybody's word that, hey man, just put this much on it. Okay. Right, Mike?
Oh, yeah. No, don't do
Okay.
it.
So tell us your story. So, tell us, like, compared to this, like, just put this on it. What was the reality of the situation?
We were way undercharging. And I first in PSC, we sat down and did this, and I'm like blown away. I'm like, okay, took a minute. Then I got to bring this to my team and say, we got to charge more. And if anybody's in the construction industry listening, they know that it's hard to win a job when you're bid spec and you're bidding against, it could be 8 other electricians and you're all running around on a big day and it's just a mess. And you hope you get it. And hopefully you're not just that price check that everyone's asking. So you bring this to your team and they're like looking at me with 3 heads saying you've lost your mind. And then I bring up the P&L statement and say, well, hey, we got to do something here. And here's what the numbers don't lie. I've learned that really, you can't hide from them. You got to look at you just got to look at them. Sometimes I didn't even want to look at them. With cash flow issues, it's very easy to say, you know what? I'm not doing this, but that's when you need to be looking at them. I learned that real fast. Like you might they might be a little wet from the tears when you look at them, but you got to look at them, dry them off and figure out what's going on. Are they just going to be running in circles like I
So you did that and your guys were like, there's no fucking way we're going to win any jobs.
100%. Yeah. They were like, no way. And I just said, and I took this again, actually, maybe even from one of your podcasts, was, don't sell the numbers. We can't sell the price. We have to sell trade service group. And I know some of it's bid spec and it is all based on numbers, but we just take a little bit of everything. ABC clients, who are we bidding this to? And there's so many other factors that we can get into that this is probably not what the podcast is about, but that basically my thing was sell us, sell our job. We got a great reputation. And if we can't sell it, move on. Find somebody that's willing to pay for these services. Because if we keep doing money for a loss, where are we going to go? You got all the work here. Like,
well, you're gonna like not be able to pay your mortgage, which you've taken a lot of money out of on the equity side of things, right?
Yeah.
But so Cole's notes, guys, just get your pen, paper ready. One of the first things you got to do is you need to understand your numbers. And more specifically, you need to understand your labor burden, your fixed expenses, i.e. you need to know specific to your contracting business. There could be a company right beside Mike. I'm not shitting you. Okay. The same size of company, same type of services. Okay. The same fucking building. And their numbers are going to be different than Mike's. And you're going to be like, what? I'm fucking telling you. Okay. Because of what they pay their guys, because of maybe they give benefits, maybe they don't, maybe it's a different type of benefit program. Anyways, the list goes on. So step number 1, know how to price your jobs profitably. And if you're not 100% sure, you need to look at your numbers. And like Mike said, don't run away from your numbers. Learn your numbers so that you can work your business using those numbers so that your business actually becomes a profitable business, right? So, and like Mike, even if, let's just call Cole's notes version. If I'm here as your coach today and you said to me, fuck coach, our trend has been $3 million in sales every year. And I'm looking at your numbers and I'm going through this as an example, guys, so that you can get where I'm going with this. And Mike goes, yeah, man. So yeah, that's what we do is $3 million in sales. And we take a look here, PFC, your numbers. If you look at what your new pricing is going to be, and if you come back to me and go, Andrew, we're going to lose like half our sales doing that. I'd be like, well, then lose half your fucking sales. You'd be like, what? I'd be like, well, do you want to be $3 million in the hole, not making money? Or do you want to be $1.5 million contracting business and actually be making 20, 30 points? Like, which fucking one do you want to be? Are you following me, Mike?
Oh yeah, that's an easy. I talked about that with my coach, and all the sales will inevitably decline once you iron things out, as you're going to get away from the price checkers, tire kickers, like everybody that just wastes your time. I can't tell you how much I've realized time wasters that we've run into. That we just don't. Either you want a price that's going to be more of a guesstimate, and that's what you're going to get, and it's going to be crazy high. You're going to want to not use us anyway because here you go, you asked for it.
Yep.
But that's kind of where we are now. We're really ironed in on that stuff. For us, it was really cash flow related, and then working with me and my mindset stuff was huge for thieves. Huge.
Yep. What were some, actually, let's get into the mindset shifts in just a second. So the pricing is one thing, making sure we got the right systems for accounts receivable, accounts payable. Mm-hmm. Tell us about that, Mike.
So, we really started simple, and we still are fairly simple. It doesn't have to be this complicated, I looked at cash flow spreadsheets and all kinds of stuff, and they were like overwhelming. I'm like, I don't know what half this stuff is. Like, we do a little bit of construction, a little bit of service. So you look at schedule values, which can be a little bit daunting sometimes too. It's like this rough but which is also part of great job tracking, by the way. Everybody use that. But it's just simple in and out. We started there. How much money do we have coming in this month, and how much money do we have going out? How much contingency do we have just in case? Is there going to be some more? And it's just simple. I have an amazing person in the front, Heather. She's awesome. And we just started simple. Then we evolved from there. So, okay, now we've got this simple, it's like household expenses that you do on one side, but you take for granted in your business. You got to take it. That's what we did. Huge. And then accounts receivable was big. We started really looking at that. And now, it's easy to say, 30, 60, 90 days. Whoa, what's going on here? But now it's like, red, yellow, green. It's like, why is it over 31? Is there a reason? Are there only because we've missed something? Is my project manager not fixing a deficiency? There's so many, when you do construction and service, there could be any number of reasons you're not getting paid. And if it isn't your fault at all, then go get paid. If it is, then fix it and get paid. Like either way, it was the get paid mantra. Like, let's finish the job, move on, get paid, work your way into that next job, not hold on to this one for life. I don't love seeing and then I review, when we're finished the job, Heather sent that's on my desk waiting for me to put an approved stamp on it. Whether that's a win or a loss, it means I've looked at it. There isn't a job now that goes into the file folder unless I've looked at it.
Love it.
It's another big, huge thing that we challenge.
So in essence, from the pricing side to defining what's a class A, B, C, and D client, all the way to, filtering fast, making sure you're landing the right clients, having a process in place on the accounts receivable, accounts payable perspective. Where we're going, guys, here, if you haven't noticed, is it's a system. I call it a recipe. Okay. The contractor's recipe or the blueprint, right? But it's a system, right, Mike? There's a flow that you didn't have before. It was just a bunch of pieces that now you've been able to put them in an orderly way. And now there's a flow. So yes, your cash flow is way better. Okay. How bad was it back then? Pretty bad?
Really bad. Yeah. We struggled collecting and struggle. Yeah, it was really bad. I'm not lying to you. Wholesalers are calling me, cutting off my accounts. You're on hold. Get this paid. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's embarrassing to say, but also, you know what? I used to think of it as embarrassing, but man, what a learning experience. I will tell you right now, it's not even, anybody that's going through this, I completely understand how embarrassing it is. But I have to say, what I've learned is even more valuable. Mm-hmm. And you talk about the recipe, Andrew. I mean, we were getting cash flow and everything. We have already turned the business around, and we haven't done the marketing piece and all that's still exciting stuff.
Well, there's all that. There's right, as you know, there's 5 levels to the contractor ladder of success.
Yeah,
you're at midpoint. Maybe a little bit further on the second level,
a little bit less on some things, right?
Yep, that's right.
Right in the middle. I call it there's a big bar, and then we're kind of shuffling around in the middle because of where we kind of came in. We didn't come in as a new company. We came in as we had some things in place, but they weren't great. Yeah. PFCs just helped really say, okay, We're starting here, and then we're gonna,
Right.
you can,
There's an order, right? Like I use that analogy of a recipe, right? Like you go you make a fucking cake, guys. I'm serious. You go make a cake, right? You got this recipe. Someone goes, yeah, I'm going to put the eggs in last instead of first. You're not going to get the fucking cake that you want or that the recipe is designed for. There's an order in which you want to go through things. So, let's talk a little bit about, when you look at your team, what has changed with the team? That's always seems to be a challenge with contractors that can't find anybody or retain anybody. What was it like prior to PFC or as far as your team?
I will say, okay, same thing that what you've referred to too, and I use a lot of this stuff. Is like you have A players, B's, same as clients, A, B, C, D. You have that in your team. When you're going through trials and tribulations, we'll say, or rocky tornado of a business, which we were going through, and I'd be lying if I said everything was perfect right now, but we are definitely we're soaring. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So with the team, it's you really identify who's got your back, who's here to stay, who wants to see the company succeed, and who's just here for a paycheck.
Right.
And and that my team morale has always been an open door. Like my door is always open. You can call me day or night.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Now we've said like my time is precious. That's a whole other thing in PFC, but I'm always available for my team to talk to. There's always time for them to talk to me, and it's important that they know that I'm here, whether it's personal, whether it's family, whether they, I've had people come in here crying their brains out, not knowing what they're going to do, and other issues that humans naturally arise. Whether it's, I don't want to get into it too much, but like just the family atmosphere is what I'm looking. I want to get into your wife.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I want to high five you.
You have a your culture for your business is very family driven. Like you want to have a personal relationship with your team. You want to, you were saying earlier, you want to know who their kids are. You want to know grandparents, all this stuff. By the way, everybody, we're not saying you have to do that, but that's what Mike wanted. And that's what he chose. Okay.
Yep.
So with these challenges though, here's the thing. When you got cash flow issues, when you're not pricing your jobs profitably and you don't even know it, when you're trying to solve things and you're not able to solve them, it affects your team. Would you say?
It's huge. You walking in the door, like I always park at the back. I walk through the shop to get to my office, mainly because I'm a stickler. I like the shop clean and everything else. So it's kind of like an inspection. But honestly, you feel it. You feel the tension in the shop, but you also feel the sense of urgency on everybody's. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like a bad and good kind of. They're like really. I don't want to call it a stressful environment, but everyone's got a going concern. We'll call it. That's more about.
Of course.
And then again, who's on your team and who's not. And then it's check. And then, I'm a contractor. Slow times are going to come. We know it. And if you think there isn't, the goal is to stay like enough to keep everybody going, but we know it's like this, the industry.
Yep.
And that's when you can make these decisions, these hard decisions to keep or leave people or have people leave your business become very evident and clear on who's pulling for you. It's a tug of war. Let's all the same way. It should be easy.
It's interesting. Last little thing, and I found this, you mentioned this earlier about being short with the family and with the kids and stuff like that. It trickles into the business. And next thing you know, where you would have like today gone, okay, Jimmy, like, okay, let's take a look at that and let's see what actually happened and basically coach them and be the leader. What ends up happening, again, I'm not sure if this happened to you, but for me, I'd lose my temper, man, on guys on shit that I should not have lost my temper. And like, there's just this negative energy and, oh shit, if we go to Andrew, he's going to lose his shit. He's on edge all the time. I don't know, man. Should we tell him like, what the fuck? Like, did you experience any of that?
Yes. It's like, oh man, it's funny to bring that up. Even still, like being the CEO of a company is stressful. Even the other day, I found myself I lost my shit on Jim. I'm just like, man, I quickly turned myself around, gave him a call back and said, look, that was uncalled for.
By the way, I didn't know you had a gym. I
do. 100%. He's my right-hand man, Jim.
It's too funny.
So, I found myself doing that. And I also, before all this, I found them keeping stuff from me that really should come to me. They're like, we're going to fix it. And it just turns into big giant shit sandwich that none of us want to eat. And I'm like, guys, this should have brought to me like a month ago. Like now we're into this and I'm trying, now it's you're putting out fires and you're like, oh my God, what happened? That it's just something that you don't want. So you still want to try and keep your cool and composure. Everybody loses their shit. And there is actually times that you should lose your shit.
I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. My wife and I have a disagreement with that, but I'm like, no, there's times when there's times when it's valid. Like, man, dude, this is fucking bullshit. Like, you did something you shouldn't have done. Like, we got a problem. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Okay, so quickly touch, before we're gonna wrap this up in 5 minutes or so. Just quickly touch on, did any of that, and I don't know the answer to this, but did any of that, when times were tough, affect your ability to retain and find and hire people?
No, I mean, we've always been yes and no. That's a really loaded question. Because one, we are an IBEW contractor, so I get my labor force from them.
Yep.
Sometimes that's tough. The office staff, to retain and hire them, I've had them for a long time, right? And so in that end of things, the hiring stuff didn't change anything, but more the morale did. Like,
yes.
I would imagine people are quicker to say, you know what, screw Mike, I'm out of here. Or as soon as they get another opportunity, I'm out of here.
Mm-hmm.
So to retain them, yes. To hire them, we haven't really been hiring through our cash flow crunch, to be honest.
People, whether you're union or not, the reality is, I guess the bottom line that I experience all the time with contractors, even my own contracting company, was if you have a negative energy, even though you don't want it, because you stress it with cash flow, or you're on edge, or you're snapping at things, everybody else picks that up. Okay. And if there's an opportunity for somebody that's given to them where the grass looks greener on the other side, they're getting the taste of some other contracting business that doesn't have this chaos or this stress or, this negative environment. Okay. It increases the chances of them leaving as well. The tradies, no tradies, right? And if you got a contracting business that's a bit of a gong show and it's out of control and all these things we talked about, somebody goes, hey man, should I go and work at Mike's place? They might say Mike's a great guy, but man, right now the business is looking like it's not looking good.
Well, right on that note, Andrew, actually, see, just you kind of brilliant. We had, during this cash flow crunch, I had 3 guys leave. One, I think it was just the stress of the office and stress of you saying that, because I took them from, even though we're union, I still have taken guys. Like most of the guys are here to stay. So I took him over, and then he ended up going back to where he left.
Yep.
And he wasn't happy there in the beginning.
Right.
Super excited to come here. Very stressful environment. Hard cash flow, push.
I'm out of here.
Gone. Right. And 3 of them and they were good electricians, good guy. Like, had a beer with one of them just the other day. So and
I swear to God, but we didn't script this thing, right?
No.
Okay. So what you just experienced, everybody, is a little taste of coaching, in the sense of, I didn't know what Mike was going to say, but at PFC, we only work with tradies. Okay. So I didn't know that Mike was going to say he lost 3 guys during this, cash flow crunch time. But I know that for most contractors, the things that I described is what they experience. And funny enough, all of a sudden Mike's like, wait a second, I lost fucking 3 guys during that time. So again, you're not alone. If you're listening in on this, whether you're union or not, you got a negative environment, whatever that negative environment is, even if you don't have cash flow issues, but it's something else. Maybe it's project maybe it's how, the projects are being managed. Maybe you got fucking tons of callbacks and fucking clients are, fucking calling you all the time. And you're like, what the fuck is going on here? But in reality, your guys are fucking up because they don't have a system to follow, and you're giving them things to do that they got to mentally retain 1,000 steps in their head. Can you relate, Mike?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So look, Mike put in a system. He followed a recipe, now he's got a blueprint. He follows the blueprint. He's building based upon this blueprint as he moves up what we call the contractor's ladder of success. So, if you were to look at this right now, tell us a little bit more about what's it like coming into the office now.
It's nice. It's a friendlier environment. I came in, it's Halloween. There's candy dish that Heather brought in. I had a Kit Kat in 8:30 this morning. probably not a good idea, but people are smiling. You know what I mean? Things are, we still got our challenges and our work ahead of us, and we all know it, but we're on a path.
Really?
I mean, we're not all in the forest trying to find our way out. We've kind of come out of it. We're walking the same direction. We're walking that path. The end goal is the same. And away we go. If I said everything's perfect and we're freaking,
Oh, that'd be bullshit.
yeah, I would be lying to you. There's always going to be challenges.
By the way, yeah, everybody, you ready for this? Like PFC has been around for almost 20 years, helped over 6,000 contractors, right? Yada, yada, yada. I should be like that, but I'm just in yada, yada, yada. Okay. Which is, it's awesome. It's awesome. Guess what? I'm the CEO of PFC. Do I still have challenges? Fucking right, I do.
Yeah.
Of course I do. By the way, I don't think you're a real CEO if you're not dealing with challenges. Now, challenges, and I'm not shitting you, there's a lot of challenges that if you look at them through the right set of lenses, they become some of the best fucking opportunities that you have to learn and to grow and to become stronger. Okay. You right, Mike?
Oh yeah. Huge.
Okay. So it's okay right now if you're listening and you got these challenges that Mike had. Okay. It's okay, man. And I'm not saying it's okay that you have cash flow issues, but you're not alone and it's solvable. Yeah. So Mike, you came to PFC, and look, guys, it might sound like I'm making a pitch here for PFC. I am in a way that if you want to get help, raise your hand. But whether it's through PFC or somebody else, get help. But let me ask you this, Mike, couple last questions. You were in a fucking cash flow crunch. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You had a coach in the past that didn't work out. There was fear that you had that you're going to spend this money that, like you're already struggling. Like, I honestly, and I don't know the answer, and I know you're like, oh, fuck, that's another loaded question, but I really am curious, like, what made you, and think about somebody listening in on this, but like, what made you go, I'm going to do this. I'm going to fucking put my hand up with, in this case, PFC and get some help. Like, what was it?
Honestly, I was in a dark spot, man. Like, fuck, I was like, man, I'll admit it, man, there's been plenty of tears that I've shed, wondering if my business is going to survive. If, like I said, those phone calls, it's overwhelming. The world, your family's weight on your shoulders, the business, me, everybody, like everybody's livelihoods here. Like, I don't know everyone else, but I'm like, fuck, I support like 19 people's fucking lives. Like, that's, and that's not a brag. That's actually more stress than you think. You know what I mean? It's like, ugh, it's responsibility. Go back down to 3. Yeah. Ultimately, that my urge to grow and want to do better was huge. And we talked the first time my interview with you, because the thing was, Pia, you said to me, you have to be just as good as fit as you want us to be for you. Like, you have to be right. So that was huge for me. That you only work for tradies was huge for me. Like, what my last business coach will say, it was like more of everything. And it was just like, they wanted to come in and gut the company. And I'm like, whoa, that's not part of my family culture. Like, I'm about making people better. My biggest thing is I can't teach attitude, but I can teach electricity. If you give me the right attitude, I can make you a dang good electrician. So it's kind of like that PFC model. You run a business, you have some building blocks and you got the drive, then PFC can make you a darn good CEO, right? And the fact that you're an electrician was a bonus and understood some for me, this is a personal experience.
Yeah, no.
There's so many contractors in PFC. And then, I just kind of took and it's not that expensive, to be honest with you. It's not like life threatening.
Yeah.
Like, the value you get out of it is freaking 10 times. Like, and the tools and the training and the access to the whole PFC community.
Yeah.
And now I'm promoting PFC, and I should, and I do. And like I said, I don't see it I see it as more of a long-term thing for me, not.
It's an investment, man. Like, look, you guys, here's the reality.
Wow. Another truck. That's what. Right.
You got it. And look, in one of the things we have is just, 30 days, right? And I said this to you, it's 30 days to see if you're fit for us. And if we're fit for you, no hard feelings if it's not. Okay. But within 30 days, man, a lot of shit happened, right? A lot of holy shit.
Holy shit moments. The other good thing that I love, and I want to make a plug on it because it's really important and near and dear to my heart, was the learning how to deal with stress as a person, as a human being. Like, the PFC, like I said, my coach, Coach Barbara, the PFC community, and learning and Coach Allison with the mindset and Coach Matt, like having these resources, I will say for me is second to none. Financial resources, mindset resources, business coaching, everyday coaching. Like it is unbelievable what you've built, Andrew. I'm going to be honest with you. It's fucking amazing. And if you just take you as a champion CEO. So if everybody wants to build this, then jump on board. But and I'm not, man, I can tell you I shed tons of tears. My wife has seen a change in my mindset at home. And that's all due to PFC. That's me looking at it through a different lens and learning how to say, you know what, life's going to suck, guys. Here's a big alert. Life is hard. It's really how you look at it. The challenges you learn. And I've learned all that through this. It's like, it sounds dumb. I'm 44 years old and I'm thinking, fuck, I'm just finally learning how to deal with this stress. Well, learning a different way to deal with it. And it's very personal to me and very, like I said, I'm a better man for it, better CEO for it. And you have to start there. It's not about yourself is your financials. It's your profit and loss statement as well. So it goes hand in hand. You want to be a champion CEO. Well, you can't be that. You'll learn how to deal with you and your emotions and everything that goes along with it.
Well, it's an identity shift. Okay. Like, and just
there you are.
It's an identity shift. Okay. Like it's for some people and it's not for others, but that shift as you go through this recipe. Okay. And as you move up what's called this contractor's ladder of success, everybody's like, what the fuck is this contractor's ladder of success? Maybe the next podcast, I'll go through that. Okay. So listen on the next podcast, I'll go through it. And then you can find out where you sit on it, and then you know where you're at, you know where you got to go. But here's the thing: as you move up this contractor's ladder of success, it's like an apprenticeship. Okay, guys, that's how I came up with this. All right, because I look back and I spent 5 years becoming a fucking licensed electrician, and I remember I was a first-term apprentice and wanting to do shit that was fifth-term apprentice and even licensed. And I was very fortunate. I had some real dick licensed electricians, but I had some really amazing guys as well. And those amazing guys would be like, okay, you want to do that? Yeah, okay. Explain to me how you're going to do that. And after I'd explain it, they'd be like, oh, so you do realize you missed this and this. And I was like, oh, fuck. They're like, yeah, so that would have killed somebody. I was, what? They're like, yeah, man, this would have happened. I'm like, Andrew, you need to learn at these levels. And as you grew, guys, let's think about this. Even as you're an owner, you work for somebody at one point in time, right? Being an apprentice, you had an identity, okay? When you became a licensed person, whatever it is that you're licensed or skilled at, your identity started to change because now you had to lead and you had to run things. Then you became, a foreman or a project manager. Like those are all identity shifts. The same thing has to happen as a champion CEO. You can't just go from this to this, because I guarantee you'll fucking kill yourself and you'll ruin your business. You have to go through these different steps. And if you try the jump one, I use that analogy of running at a fucking ladder, right? And you're like, hey man, I'm going to go right to the fourth fucking rung. I'm like, have at it, man. Somebody get a video camera. Yeah. And then next thing you know, the guy's like, fucking ankles. It's like, you're going to fucking keep hurting yourself, man. So it's a big identity shift. And I guess I want to hear your last words of wisdom here, and then I'll give mine and we'll wrap this baby up. So what would be the last couple of things that you would recommend, or what a last piece of advice that you would give to somebody listening in, Mike?
Honestly, it's, you got to slow down. Like when you're running your own business and you got to literally take the time to look at the information you have, like your profit and loss. Just
slow down to speed up.
Slow down to speed. Who said that? Steve Jobs, maybe? I don't know who said that, but if you want to go it alone, that's maybe Steve Jobs. Either way, we can slow down and really step outside and look at your P&L statement. Don't be afraid to speak that's the one thing I learned. And even through the cash flow, the wholesalers would call. I'd be terrified to talk to them. Follow your own advice you've always given. I'm like, you can't run away from your problems. Let's get these problems and have them head on. So that's huge. Just slow down to speed up, and then just take it all in. Like, I don't know, take a step back is what I learned, and just really look at what's working, what's not, what you want to keep, what you don't want to keep. Like the same thing, like to protect, and then build on that.
Yeah.
Most, we all got a business, whether it's you in a truck or you've built something. There's something here. If you're listening to this, you probably own a business, so you've got something to work with. So work with it.
Yep, love it. So my last couple of pieces of advice, and by the way, Mike, freaking great job, dude. I love that you look people that come on this podcast. My heart goes out to them. Okay, and I struggle to not have a tear about it because I'm so grateful for you to be on here for lots of reasons. That you've taken on what it is that we put in front of you, and you've done something with it, and you've changed your life, you changed your business, you changed the environment for your family and your team, and that's why I created this. Okay, so the See You Succeed makes me feel just amazing because it takes courage. Okay, it takes fucking courage to raise your hand and ask for help. It does. Okay, because you don't know, hey, is this person going to be able to truly help me? Am I going to actually be able to do this and learn this? Am I smart enough for this? And then, am I going to be supported by others to apply these things or even, taking this journey on? So yeah, it takes fucking a ton of courage. So my hat goes out to you. So my last couple of things is this. You can do it, guys. You can fucking do it. Okay. We built this system and this recipe for contractors. And it doesn't mean that, well, let me be clear. Contractors are some of the smartest fucking people I know. And I used to get so pissed off. My mother-in-law, who I've got a great relationship now, but when I first started dating my wife, I was an apprentice, blue collar worker, and yeah, I was a little rougher on the edges, a little couple of black eyes and fat lips every once in a while, but whatever. And my wife's going through as a chartered accountant, and previous boyfriend was going through as a lawyer and all the rest of the shit. So I was like, looked upon as like, oh, he's a tradesperson. He's not that smart. I was like, okay, yeah, we'll fucking see, right? So look, you guys are smart, and this has been designed with your learning style. Okay, and correct me if I'm right or wrong, Mike. Like we're talking we starting off with whiteboards. Okay, guys, we're starting off with, and this doesn't mean that you're stupid. What's that? Look, you got one right behind you. Right. So this is not set up to become a fucking accountant and sit there in front of a computer and fucking. This fits contractors because I was a tradie and this worked for me. Okay. I had to make it work for me. Fucking colored sticky notes, colored markers. Now you eventually, let's just say, graduate and move to more systematic things that other people can do and run. But you can do this. Okay. And the last thing that I'm going to say is this, is that you owe it to yourself. It's one of the saddest things that I see when I come across contractors, even any business owner. But for me, my heart goes to contractors, where, you came here, and I remember talking to you when you were thinking about PFC, and you're telling me your story, and it fucking was painful. It's painful for me to listen to have these conversations with people. I'm deadly serious, because I know that the person that I'm talking to, which was you, Mike, has really put in a shit ton of time, has worked really hard to solve these problems, and they have not been able to solve them.
Well, right, 8 years old, and I just came to PSC. There you go. I just want to, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but 8-year-old company, and I'm not perfect. We were just treading water for 8 fucking years. So there you go.
Well, you were treading water with big fucking holes in the boat because you were sinking.
Exactly.
I mean, it's just a negative 4%. That's $100 and some $1,000 every fucking year, where she's like, more water in the boat, more water in the boat. Fucking going down, baby. Paddle harder. I'm like, paddling harder is not the fucking problem. Okay. You got to plug fucking leaks. Right. So look at, guys, you can do it. And, I believe in you. Even if you don't believe in yourself, I'm not joking. I believed in you, Mike, more. Yeah. I don't know if you knew this, but in my opinion, when we chatted, I believed in you more than you believed in yourself. And the reason for that is because I know the other thousands and thousands of other contractors that started where you started. Okay. And I know that if you do the things, if you're going to do the things that we had laid out for you, you were going to come on the other side and go, holy fuck, and be on this. I remember talking to you going, you know what, bro? I go, maybe someday you'll be on the podcast. You remember that?
Yeah, you did say it. Yeah. Here we are, podcasting away.
Here we go, right? Yeah. And you still have challenges. Okay, so guys, you can do it. Raise your hand, get help. I don't care if it's through PFC, great. If it is, doesn't cost you anything to have a chat. or get help from somebody else, but just be very, very careful, because if somebody doesn't have the expertise in the space of contracting, I'm not shitting you, to give you bad advice. Oh my God. How many profit and loss statements, Mike, do you think I've seen where I'm like, your accountant is putting those expenses under fixed? Yeah, those aren't fucking fixed. Those are variable. And they're like, what? I'm like, and because of that, your calculations for your break even is fucked. And they'd be like, what do you mean? I'm like, okay, no. Like this is a problem. And it's like, well, that my accountant told me this. Well, your accountant doesn't fucking know what they're talking about. So yeah. Anyways, hey, listen, man, congratulations. Proud of you. And, I'm glad you're able to make it on the other side and continue the journey. So thanks, brother, for being on this podcast, for doing the things that you've done. And we're going to see you climb to the next level and the next level beyond that.
Absolutely.
Hey guys, ciao.
Hey rock stars, thank you for watching the No Bullshit Podcast for Contractors. If you enjoyed this episode, hit the subscribe button. And if you're serious about growing and need help, click on the link below. Myself and my team would love to help and give you the necessary tools so you can take your contracting business to the next level. And remember, dominate, delegate, and deliver.